Today, I'm going to be unboxing the Redmi 9 Pro from Xiaomi. I've been using the Redmi 8 Pro as my work phone for the past few weeks, and I'm interested to know what improvements have been made. And as well as that, I'm going to show you guys some of the benchmarks where this phone stacks up and also some camera samples. So I'm planning to make some changes to the format of these videos, and I want to know from you, what do you think I should add in? Is there anything I should improve on or anything that I miss out on in these videos? Let me know in the comments below. All your ideas are welcome and I will read all of them anyway. You ready? Let's go. So this is the Redmi Note 9 Pro, and this is from Xiaomi, of course, and this has just become available in the UK. And actually on release, the 64GB version is coming in at $249 and the 128 version is coming in at $269. So it's a real bargain, and definitely don't judge this phone based off of the price. This thing has some serious specs that you need to know about. We'll get into that in a minute. Anyway, this version I got here is the 6GB RAM, 128, and it's in Interstellar Grey, which is the color that I wanted. Let's get this out of the box. Here we go, here's everything that's in the box. 30-watt fast charger, USB-C cable, a really dark silicone case for the phone itself, and then of course the user guides. Now let's have a look at this thing. So as you can see, the back of the device is very glossy, and that's because it's glass. It's actually Gorilla Glass 5 on the back, and it's also Gorilla Glass 5 on the front. And when it comes to this screen, it's a Full HD Plus screen. And then they've actually relocated the fingerprint sensor now. So on the Note 8 Pro, it was actually centered on the back, really dangerously close to the camera module. So you sometimes actually smudge the camera by accident. They've avoided that completely now, and you've got this kind of square array here on the back. And you can see straight away another change from the Redmi Note 8 Pro is the dot camera on the front, the bullet hole as I like to call it. Let me know in the comments, do you guys prefer the notch or the bullet hole, or do you prefer the bullet hole to be off to the corner or centered? Let me know. Now, one thing I want to bring your attention to that Xiaomi do that I really love is the IR blaster on the device. That means you can control your sound bars, your TVs, anything that uses a remote control with your phone. And then another favorite of mine, a headphone jack.
I'm back.
And the placement of the volume rocker is nice and high up here above the power button as well. And then on this side we have the SIM tray, and actually this is a dual SIM smartphone, so you can put two SIMs in there, maybe your work phone SIM and your personal SIM at the same time with that tray. And then you've also got the option to expand the memory up to 512GB. So when you consider the £20 difference between the 64GB variant and the 128, you could save yourself 20 quid, but then you might end up having to buy an SD card later on. So in my personal opinion, I would just say, do you know what, go for the bigger memory at first. If you need more later on, you've got the option to expand your memory with the 512. One thing I do like about these cases is the way actually they have a little bit here to protect the USB-C port, so no fluff gets stuck in there or anything. That's a nice addition. I've only ever seen Xiaomi do this. I haven't seen any other companies do this. It's a nice thing, and the black case actually really suits this phone very nicely. So another upgrade that Xiaomi have brought to the table with this is the NFC functionality. So that means you can set up Google Pay and stuff like this and use your phone to pay for stuff, as well as pair to devices that have NFC support as well. So that's a really nice addition here. Now let's have a look at this camera module, because this is a big deal. You've got this quad camera array. You've got a 64 megapixel primary shooter combined with an 8 megapixel, a 5 megapixel and a 2 megapixel. And then on the front, the dot camera is actually 16 megapixels. So instead of just talking about the specs of the cameras, let me show you very quickly what they can do. seen what the cameras can do on this thing, let me run you through some of the key things you need to know about the Redmi Note 9 Pro. So inside, it's got the new Snapdragon 720G. Now, some people think that this is a downgrade from the Helio G90T that was in the Redmi Note 8 Pro. So I ran the Antutu Benchmark to find out if this is true, and the results were pretty interesting. So in some areas, actually, the Helio G90T did better, but in some areas, the Redmi Note 9 with the new Snapdragon 720G did better. And let me show you that. So when it came to the CPU itself, it's much better here on the new Note 9. When it came to the GPU, the graphics rendering, actually, because the G90T is really geared for gaming, it actually outperformed the Snapdragon here. And during the test, this is where it gets a little bit interesting. You'll see actually the temperature increase of the chipset itself was much higher here on the G90. It's 4.7 degrees, whereas the Snapdragon stayed cooler under pressure. And you'll also notice that the battery consumption whilst running the tests was completely different as well. And when you combine that with the battery size in the Note 9, the battery size is increased to 5020 milliamps, and if you don't know, that is huge. That's bigger than most of the £1,000 plus flagships that we see today. Then when you combine that as well with the 30-watt fast charger in the box, this is a serious powerhouse of a smartphone. And with all things considered, and you look at the price tag of this thing at £269 for this version of it, it's such a bargain right now. But if you do want to save some money and you don't mind going for an older version of the phone, this thing is really heavily discounted right now, the Redmi Note 8 Pro. And like I said, I've been using it for work and it's fantastic. It does everything I need it to do. And the battery performance is pretty stellar on this too. I'm really excited to put this thing through its paces. Let me know what kind of content you want to see on this and I will do my very best to make it for you. If you enjoyed this one, I'd appreciate a thumbs up. And if you just subscribed, you're now one of the finest subscribers known to man. See you in the next one. Don't be late.